In the earliest days of the world, before kingdoms were built, before wars were fought, two brothers stood before God. One offering was received, the other was not. From that moment, a shadow entered the human story, a choice that would echo through all generations. This is not just a story of the past. This is the story of the human heart.
Long after the creation of Adam and Eve, the first children of humanity walked upon the earth. The land, still young and full of life, stretched wide and untamed, its beauty a reflection of the Creator's hand. Cain, the firstborn, strong and steadfast, worked the soil with tireless hands. Every seed he planted was a testament to his labor, a small offering of devotion to the life he and his family were now entrusted with. Sweat beaded his brow in the warm morning light, and the rhythm of his toil echoed across the fields. Abel, his younger brother, moved gently among the flocks, his eyes calm and attentive. Each sheep was precious to him, and each lamb a symbol of care and responsibility. Abel's devotion to his work reflected a heart aligned with the Creator, quiet, yet sincere. Scripture reminds us, "And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived, and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground." Genesis 4, 1-2. As the sun rose over the hills, painting the landscape with gold and shadow, the first seeds of human choice and consequence were already taking root. In the harmony of labor and life, the tension of what was to come quietly lingered. Time passed, and the day came when both brothers would bring their offerings to the Lord. Cain, diligent and proud of his harvest, selected the finest fruits from his labor. Yet, as he approached the altar, unease shadowed his heart. Was his work enough? Had he labored in the right spirit? Abel, humble and faithful, brought the firstlings of his flock, the choicest portions, laying them upon the altar with reverent hands. Smoke rose gently, curling upward as if carrying prayers toward the heavens. Scripture records, "And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell." Genesis 4, 3-5. Cain's heart sank as he observed Abel's offering accepted, rising in smoke like a testament of devotion and faith. A subtle envy stirred within him, quiet yet persistent, planting the first seeds of a tragedy yet to unfold. The wind whispered through the fields, carrying both the sense of earth and the tension of a heart at war with itself. The Lord, seeing the conflict within Cain, spoke to him with wisdom and compassion. Yet words, though gentle, often meet hardened hearts. Cain's gaze was fixed upon Abel, upon the altar, upon the smoke rising toward heaven, and still his heart was troubled. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Genesis 4, 6-7. The words hung in the air like a still breath. Cain felt the warning pierce his heart, but jealousy and resentment were already taking root. Sin, patient and silent, waited at the threshold, biding its time. The field around him was quiet, yet every rustle of leaves, every sigh of the wind seemed to whisper caution he could not yet heed. His brow furrowed, hands clenched at his sides. He knew the weight of the Lord's words, yet desire and envy contended for his spirit. The first true test of human choice had arrived. Twilight fell over the fields. The sun dipped behind the distant hills, casting long shadows across the earth. Cain and Abel walked together among the trees and the tilled ground, brothers bound by blood, yet divided by envy. In that quietness, the first act of human violence was born, not from a sudden fury, but from a heart consumed by jealousy and pride. The air was still, heavy with anticipation, as if the earth itself held its breath. Scripture records the moment with stark simplicity. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. Genesis 4:8. Abel fell, silent and defenseless. The fields, once filled with gentle life and the soft bleating of sheep, now carried the weight of a tragedy that would echo across all generations. Cain stood over his brother, the realization of what he had done slowly dawning, yet the darkness within him was not yet spent. The first blood spilled on the earth, a voice crying out that the human heart, though capable of devotion, is also capable of great destruction.
Morning broke across the field, pale light washing over the earth. Cain walked alone, the weight of his actions pressing heavily upon his shoulders. His hands, once so steady, trembled slightly, and his eyes avoided the empty space where Abel had stood. The Lord called out to him, a voice both gentle and piercing, echoing across the land. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? Genesis 4:9a. Cain's reply was defensive, his voice shaky, and he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Genesis 4:9b. Yet the Lord's words pierced deeper than Cain could bear. And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Genesis 4:10. Cain's heart sank, for he realized that no denial could erase the truth. The earth itself seemed to mourn Abel, carrying his silent cry to the heavens. Even as Cain turned away, the echo of that voice would follow him forever, a reminder of the life he had taken and the responsibility he could not escape. In solitude, Cain confronted the deepest truths of his own heart: fear, guilt, and the understanding that every action leaves an imprint upon the world. The Lord, in justice and mercy, spoke to Cain of the consequences that must follow. Though judgment weighed upon him, there remained a glimmer of divine protection. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. Genesis 4:11-12. Cain listened, his heart heavy, as the weight of the curse settled upon him. The ground he had once labored so faithfully now seemed harsh and unyielding. Every step became a reminder of his actions. Every furrow he dug a testament to the life he could never reclaim. The world, though still beautiful, was now marked by sorrow. Cain's footsteps carried both shame and survival, and the first fugitive walked upon the earth, a man burdened by his own choices. Yet even in judgment, the Lord showed mercy. Cain would not face vengeance alone, for a divine mark was placed upon him, a sign both of protection and of responsibility. And the Lord said unto him, Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. Genesis 4:15. Cain, marked and burdened, walked forward. The mark was a constant reminder. Sin brings consequence, but the Lord's justice is tempered with mercy. The first steps into exile were tentative, filled with fear, but also with the knowledge that he would endure and survive. The land around him seemed both familiar and strange. Shadows long, winds whispering, a world both punishing and protective. Cain journeyed eastward, carrying his burden across the land. In time, he built a city, naming it after his son, Enoch. Life continued, even in exile, and the earth witnessed the resilience of humanity, both flawed and enduring. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he built a city, and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. Genesis 4:16-17. Within the walls of that city, life took root. Families grew, the earth was tilled, and work became a daily rhythm. Yet the shadow of Cain's past lingered quietly, woven into the foundations of the city itself. His footsteps, though forward-moving, always carried the memory of Abel. Cain's lineage spread across the land, and human skill, creativity, and culture began to flourish. From his descendants came builders, musicians, and craftsmen, shaping the earliest chapters of civilization. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehujael, and Mehujael begat Methusael, and Methusael begat Lamech. And Lamech took unto him 2 wives. The name of the one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah. And Ada bare Jabal. He was the father of such as dwell in tents, and of such as have cattle. And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. Genesis 4:18-22. With each generation, humanity learned to shape the land, to create instruments of work and art. Yet the memory of Cain's sin remained a quiet shadow. Even in progress and innovation, the echo of that first tragedy resonated. From this earliest conflict emerge lessons that still speak to humanity today. The consequences of envy, the burden of choice, and the necessity of responsibility. Cain and Abel's story is more than history. It is a mirror to our hearts. The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Genesis 4:10. The earth remembers, the Lord witnesses, and human hearts are called to choose between devotion and pride, between mercy and vengeance. The story of Cain and Abel endures, a solemn reflection upon the human soul and a testament to both sin and grace in the unfolding history of mankind. The story of Cain and Abel is more than history. It is a mirror, revealing the struggles within every heart. It reminds us that our choices shape our destiny, and that even in judgment, God's mercy still reaches toward humanity. If this story has stirred something within you, continue this journey with us. Subscribe and walk through the timeless stories of the Bible, where every chapter reveals truth, every struggle reveals hope, and every soul can find light.